The show is better when we have someone who actually knows what they're talking about. It's not me. I don't know what I'm talking about most of the time, but that's why we are back in the pocket with our quarterback, Jack Tuttle. He's going to break down all things schedule and the importance of team culture right here on this episode of Locked On Wolverines.
You are Locked On Wolverines, your daily podcast on the Michigan Wolverines, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Wednesday. We are back in doing it. Locked On Wolverines podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. I'm your man on the ground, Isaiah Hole, publisher of Wolverines Wire through USA Today Sports Media Group. And I apparently just go ahead and stole Gus Johnson's introduction of Joel Klatt and said, that's my quarterback right over there. That's Jack Tuttle. Jack, that just makes you like you're just our Joel Klatt right now. We'll come up with a better nickname later, but welcome back, man. It's been 2 weeks. Too long.
Been 2 weeks. We had some good conversations last time. I'm excited to keep that going here.
I mean, Michigan fans were absolutely loving it. It was kind of the talk of the message boards. So that's good. Let's hope we can keep that momentum going here together. First, Jack, I want to ask you, well, first, actually, I want to thank everyone for who are our everydayers that check out every episode of Locked On Wolverines. And thank you for making us your first listen. Our plan is to start out, we're going to talk about some important culture things because Jack knows a little bit about that. He's been a couple places. He's seen what the culture in Ann Arbor should be, having won a national championship. But on top of that, we're going to get into the schedule because Jack has some really cool insights as far as it comes to some of those teams, especially defensively. So we will get to that first, but get that next rather. It's already off to a great start, Jack. I'm getting all segments all mixed up, words mixed up. We have episode dyslexia going on right now. Let's start off talking about culture because one of the things that I've been talking about, I kind of equated some of the changes that Michigan made. They didn't make a lot of changes in the offseason, but like when you hear the way that these guys talk about Chip Lindsey and how they relate to him, how they don't relate to his accent, but they relate to him everywhere else, that there's certainly like they have respect. They really like what they see, but I still see some trepidation from Michigan fans to some degree because they're afraid that he's going to go out there and Leroy Jenkins the offense to some degree. But it does seem like you weren't here in 2021, but it has that same feel to me where it's like everyone's on the same page. Just first off, how important is that to have it where the coaches trust the coaches, the players trust the players, and the players and the coaches trust each other? How pivotal is something like that really no other program talks about? Nationally, it doesn't get talked about. How important is it?
Yeah, so I think you bring up a great point, Isaiah. That is probably the number one thing that determines a team's success and failure in the fall. So if a team is synced up, the coaches are on the same page with the players, usually teams will have a pretty good season, 500 above, make a bowl game, depending on who you are, right? But the teams that are just not synced up, they're not on the same page, they're arguing, the coaches aren't listening to the players aren't listening to the coaches, those are the teams that seem to fall apart the most. I've been a part of each, and I think 2023 was a great example with Coach Harbaugh, Coach Sharon Moore, and I think everyone was on the same page from my point of view, from the offense. Everyone heard each other's opinions. The players were able to tell the coaches, hey, I think this is going to work this week. I think this play, I feel comfortable with it. I think this will be an ideal situation for what defense is presenting. And they heard us out, and Coach Harbaugh was, yeah, let's try it. Coach Moore, yeah, let's try it. And it worked out a lot of the times because it was fluid and it was easy, quite frankly. And those are the teams that are the best to be on and that win the most, and the most enjoyable for sure. The other side, the opposite side, that's going into those buildings every day. That's That's tough. It's a tough place to be in.
And I think it's interesting that you say like that's the most important thing, because that's where generally like again, like people are always talking just strictly, and like you need the players too, right? Like that's important to have talent, but do you feel like in some ways that can supersede talent just by virtue of everyone liking each other, everyone having each other's back? Like just a quick segue. I recall there being years where they had some really good talent. Thinking back to the wide receiving core of 2017, 18, 19, very talented, did not feel like everyone was on the same page, player to player, coaches to players, and all of that. Do you think that it can, even if you don't necessarily have all the 4-star types across the board, looking at the receiver room, they don't have a ton. Do you feel like that can help the offense just by virtue of, hey, we might not have as much talent as, say, they have in Columbus at the wide receiver room, but by virtue of us all understanding the assignment, getting along, having each other's back, can that overcome a bit of the lack of having that talent?
Absolutely. So first and foremost, I would love to give an example. Alabama, the team down south, all these guys, they have loaded receiver rooms every year. They have very good skill positions, and Michigan has. I think we have a pretty good skill position. We have this year. There's no doubt about it. And maybe it fell off a little bit the past year, but 2 years ago it was really good. And even in 2023 with Cornelius Johnson and Roman Wilson, those guys were unbelievable. They were. And they played great, and they did a great job for us in 23. But did our receiver room trump Ohio's, Alabama's, Oregon's? No, it just didn't. And those guys are in the NFL now, and they're doing a great job. Shout out the boys. And that's a prime example of, hey, we might not be the best skill talent in the country, but we're going to come together as a unit, and we're going to just play together, play in sync. And we won the national championship because of that. And what's exciting is this year reminds me a bit of that. We're going to have a pretty good receiver room, and I'm super excited to see where that goes. The O-line is young. There's some maturity from Sprague and Greg Crippen, a couple other guys. We'll see who wins that competition. But I think the O-line is deeper, and I think the receiver room is really talented this year, and it kind of reminds me of our situation in 23.
Well, I can't wait to see it, but that's kind of the thing, is we need to see it. It's like you were on the other side as a player, and I swear I didn't do a deep dive looking through the articles, but I swear that they were saying things last year, like around this time, like we're probably better than we were the year before. And you're like, that doesn't sound right on paper. It just doesn't, right? Like you when you lose and you don't have, so I'm interested to see it, right? Because like I have full faith in Donovan McCulley, because we've seen him do it elsewhere. And then you see him do it in the spring game, even if it was one play. But we haven't seen Samaj and Fred Moore and Channing Goodwin and Amarian Stewart and some of those guys do it really yet, right? We just haven't. Like they've done it like in such small doses. I really want to see what that ends up looking like. And I'm excited because I don't want to be talking about it as much as I want to see it. And we're kind of getting to that point. All right, we're going to continue on. I want to get your thoughts on the schedule. We're going to do that here in just a moment. But before we do, most people can't name all of their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's a 401k, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there's Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all of your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. And the great thing is, and I still actually haven't canceled it, but at the same time, Monarch Money let me know I've been paying for a Planet Fitness membership. I have a membership over at Powerhouse, but I've been paying for Planet Fitness for like 2 years. I don't know why. And thanks to Monarch Money, I now know about that. So don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use the code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with the code LOCKEDONCollege. All right, Jack, let's get back into, so you as a former quarterback know a little something about what it takes to read a defense. You've gone through the entirety of Michigan's future schedule. And I before we get into maybe just game by game thoughts, maybe we do it game by game. I'm going to ask you right here live. What would you prefer? Do we do it game by game, or do you want to do it like here's the ones I'm looking at? We probably could have done that pre-show, but we didn't do it.
Yeah, that's totally okay. I would like to, just for now, let's highlight a couple games, and I think almost we can group them together.
All right. So
that way I'm not just going on. So
I mean, you can go on. That's absolutely fine. All right. Well, let's start with the team that you mentioned in the pre-show. Oklahoma is going to be Michigan's first big test anyway. We already know that. Brent Venables taking over the defensive reins once again down in Norman. You feel like that's going to maybe be more challenging than I've even been giving him credit for. What do you see out of Oklahoma?
So Oklahoma is going to be a big test, obviously, because we're going to Oklahoma. It's a night game. The crowd's going to be juiced. And depending on the quarterback situation, which we don't know yet, we're going to either have a veteran, a young man, another young man, or a transfer out there, a couple guys with experience. We don't know what's going to happen yet. But if it is one of the younger QBs, they're going to go into an environment. It's going to be loud. It's going to be a defense, and I'll get into that in a little bit. That's going to be confusing. Brent Venables is going to try and confuse our offense. And we, as an offense, are going to have to make it easier on the quarterbacks, give them easy throws at the beginning of the game to get them comfortable, and also talk about that a little bit. But to kind of segue into Oklahoma, it will be nice to play New Mexico game one at home. And that'll be a night game. I know a lot of people are bummed out by that. They wanted a noon game for that one. But it's
kind
okay.
of reverse of Ohio State in their situation, right? Like they want everything at night. Michigan wants everything at noon. Michigan gets everything at night. Ohio State gets everything at noon.
Yeah,
anyway,
I know.
Continue. Sorry.
I know a lot of people were bummed out about that, but hey, people are going to be back in the big house, back rocking. So that'll be exciting on August 30th there, 7:30 p.m. against New Mexico. So whoever trots out onto that field first at quarterback, New Mexico is going to be extremely important. For game one, it is extremely important for a quarterback to find a sense of confidence, a sense of ease. And when I was playing, when it was 2023 and before that, coaches did a great job of easing the quarterback into the game. And what I mean by that is, for example, J.J. McCarthy. It's a big game. Or if he just had a bad previous drive, Coach Moore would always do a great job of easing the quarterback back into the game with a screen throw, a nice RPO, a hitch, free access throw, just to gain some confidence back to the quarterback. So New Mexico is going to be extremely important on those first couple of drives of, hey, let's make it easy on the quarterback, give him a nice hitch throw, let's give him a nice screen throw, and nice RPO, and just really get them confident and juiced up. So by the end of that game, they're ready to go and segue into Oklahoma. They're feeling confident. And they're thinking, I can make all the throws. 3rd and 10, I don't have a problem with that. I'm okay. So that's something really important in the first week I see.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit different than, Fresno State last year. I think it's about as tough as you were going to get in terms of the group of 5 level, right? Not,
Yeah, exactly.
and it's interesting to be able to have more than weeks 1 and 3, at least, teams that are easier in the group of 5 than Fresno State. And I know Arkansas State wasn't like great, but like that was the type of team that like you just don't want to play. I remember they gave Ohio State all they could give in a first half. I think it was 2 years ago. So maybe it was 3. So, those aren't the types, whereas New Mexico and Central Michigan, no offense to those 2 fan bases. I'm sorry I'm making you all very mad right now. You're nothing. No, you're not nothing. I love you still. But you're not in that same caliber. What makes, like, you've seen kind of some Oklahoma, what makes them so confusing, do you feel? Is there something in particular that Brent Venables does that you feel is going to be particularly challenging? We'll just go ahead and say for Bryce Underwood.
Yeah, so that's a great point. And so it's sort of, I wouldn't call it like a Big 12 defense because they're not in the Big 12 anymore. It's the SEC. But what I call it is junk defense. I basically just thought of that myself, breaking them down for hours and hours and hours, is 3 safety defense. So the Sooners will play 3 safeties back, and they'll move them in all different directions. So it could end up being, it could be 3. It could be cover 2. And what I mean by that is 1 high safety or 2 high safeties. We can get into some maybe chalk talk later down the line. But basically, to put it quite simply, is Oklahoma can show one look and get into another look very fast. So pre-snap, the quarterback may have an idea of one thing, and hey, it's going to be this, and it's completely something different, or it's a pressure a certain way he didn't understand. So with the 3 safety looks, they have the ability to do really whatever they want. And at times, which is kind of funny with the Oklahoma defense, is you can't even tell on film what they're doing sometimes, and it just somehow works out. That's the thing with that kind of defense. There's a lot of communication, and there's a lot of defenses, so they can get lost in their own world sometimes. So who knows? Maybe we'll be able to take advantage of that on offense there, but we're going to have to really have a great pre-snap plan at quarterback, I would say, and diagnose it post-snap. And if you don't know, just make a nice, easy check down, So I think that's some of the challenges we're going to have to face outside of the crowd, the night game. So it'll be a very good game.
It's going to be interesting. At least it's kind of a good thing that the night game, if it is Bryce, which we do believe it will be Bryce, I think that's really good news, though, that he'll at least get the 100,000 in the big house before I think it's like 70-ish thousand at Oklahoma. He'll at least get to feel what that's like. I have another question about that game, and then I want to hear about the other schools you feel like those are the problem areas. We're going to get to those things here in just a moment. All right, in typical me fashion, while I was setting up going into segment 3, I forgot the question I had for you with Oklahoma. So it happens that fast, Jack. It was like literally for those watching and listening, he had to sit through like a whole like ad break, and it feels like it was like 5 minutes. For us, it was 20 seconds, and I forgot that quickly. Lots of ADD and neurodivergence happening, at least on this side of the screen. Not on the other. This side, though, it's happening big time. Jack, what are some of the other defenses that you look at and you say, like, that's going to be maybe a little bit more than a typical challenge?
Yeah, so obviously after the Oklahoma game, that will be kind of a set point. So it's so early in the season, and it's already kind of which way is our season going to go? If we win, we lose, which way is it going to go? No matter if we win or lose, week 3 has to be, we got to win. There's no doubt about it. And that'll be another chance at September. It's a noon game, so we're happy about that. And I think that'll be another chance for whoever's at quarterback to get another game in their pocket and get ready for another tough game week 4 against Nebraska, because this is another highlighted game. It's at Lincoln. It's a 2:30 p.m. Central Time game, so it's not a night game. At least right now, hopefully there's no time change. But that's another highlighted game on the schedule, because that would be a must-win for us in the blue. I think that's going to be a challenging game. They have a returning quarterback in Dylan Raiola. They have some good receivers. They have a good D-line now. They lost a couple guys interior-wise, but I think they reloaded in the portal. But that's going to be a game where the defense is going to have to play well and shut down Raiola and their offense. And our offense is going to have to kind of manage, not as complicated as a defense as Oklahoma by any means, but handle the environment again. And that's the thing we're constantly talking about in the Big Ten is there, and I guess Oklahoma is not in the Big Ten, the SEC too, the crowd environments. That plays a pivotal role in games. And I'm going to share a fun fact that a lot of people don't really know. And this is less about defensive scheme in this game. But when you're in the game and you're in at quarterback, you had a mic in your helmet and you got signalers on the side of the field, obviously. And a lot of the times it's hard to hear the mic in the helmet. So you're getting the play from the coach. But in environments like in Lincoln, Nebraska, it's so loud. You're like, I can't hear the play. I can't hear it. And then the signalers have to start signaling. But guess what? The play clock's ticking. So as a freshman or whoever plays is going to have to handle that environment. And it's a key game for the boys in blue to win. And that'll segue into Wisconsin at home, which will be a good game. But the next highlighted game is USC. And I know you're excited about this one, Isaiah. I know you're really excited about this one. Out in LA, and that'll be on October 11th. So obviously that's going to be a challenge. I'd like to hear some of your thoughts on that game out there in Los Angeles.
Well,
I know you talked about it before.
I absolutely love, just middle of the season, flying all the way across the country. I've made it well known how much I love to fly. So that's great. No bye week on either side. And USC is going to be interesting just for the sake of second year Danton Lynn. Can they actually be a defense? They lost great players on both sides but then brought in the whole transfer portal. So that'll be interesting. But playing out in LA, I don't even know if I'm going to that yet because they canceled my flight already.
That's what I was curious about it.
They jacked up the price too. So it wasn't we canceled your flight. You can just book another. No, I can't do it now. It's oh no, it's triple the amount. Thanks a lot. But that'll be interesting. Anyway, I'm getting off on some personal tangents here that I do that enough on my own time. I don't need to do that to your time.
You got to get out there though. That'll be a great game. It's another key game in the season and the turning point for the guys. I think it's Oklahoma, Nebraska, USC, and then you get into a 4-game stretch before the team down south. And you got to play them, which will be some nice prime up games, gear up games to the week 12 game we need to have. There's no doubt about it. So it's 5-game stretch.
I do want to go only because I lived in Los Angeles, but I've never been to the Coliseum. I've seen it kind of driving by off of the 110 or whatever that is. But the only college game I went to when I lived out there, and it ruined the Rose Bowl for me for a while until obviously getting to be there in 2023 or beginning of 2024 technically, was UCLA, Oregon State. Because my cousin was a defensive end on Oregon State, so I went there.
Oh, okay.
But UCLA, I couldn't find a student section. I couldn't find the band. I didn't hear the band once. The place was half empty, and it was my birthday, and I'm I don't want to be here. This is terrible. I just graduated from Michigan the year before, and it was so I need to wipe that out. I worked with a lot of USC people. One of my bosses was a big Trojans fan. He was tailgating every single weekend. So I do need to get out there. I'm curious. I have 2 more questions for you, Jack. Number one, How much, like you mentioned, some of these more difficult defenses that they'll be facing when you look at the schedule too. How much do you think it helps the offense? And maybe not at all because it's different schematically, but considering the complexity of the Wink Martindale defense, how much do you think that will help, at least if nothing else, slow things down for our hypothetical starting quarterback, Bryce Underwood?
So I think Coach Martindale is awesome, and his demeanor and his personality is perfect, and I love it. That's all. I'm not going to go too far, but I just completely love it. He's a great DC, and down the line, he can do whatever he wants to do. He might be a head coach someday. That's how much I think of him. His defense is just brutal to go against in practice. I've been through it. It stinks as a quarterback to go against in practice every day. I'm not going to get into too much what his scheme is. I don't want to give too much away for the boys, but I think as a quarterback to have a DC and a defense like that, you got Rod Moore coming back, you have Ernest Hausman, you have all these Zeke, you got all these guys coming back, and Rayshon Benny too, and some transfer additions. I think to have that as a young quarterback, or who knows who's quarterback, I'm not guessing yet. But
I am. I'm putting words in your mouth.
I know
it's Bryce Underwood. So everyone knows it, Jack. Everyone, like no one is at ESPN is pulling up their article and being like, we'll see who the quarterback at Michigan's going to be. No, everyone knows it's Bryce. So you know,
there's that. And you might be right. I for whatever reason, as a quarterback who's been in there, I try and stay. Hey, you're just gonna wait whoever walks out the first play, because you never know. Maybe something happens. Maybe anything crazy can happen in college football, and that's what I've learned in my 50 years in college football.
I do still technically have eligibility, and they were having walk-on tryouts, so I see what you're doing. I can, like I told you, I can throw a baseball, because you throw a baseball this way, you throw a football this way. That's why you see like football players not doing well at throwing out first pitches. So I understand you think I might be in the mix, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, exactly. To answer your question, though, to finish answering your question, to have somebody at quarterback and to have Wink Martindale be there for them is just an extra layer of protection. That's how I think about it. He's going to bail you out. He's going to help you in tough moments. And you don't have to have so much pressure. It's not going to be a shootout every game. So I don't have to force this throw. I can just hit the check down on 3rd and long, and I can worry about the next drive. I don't have to try and get all of it on 3rd and 15. I can just, boom, move on. Next drive, we'll get better field position. Our defense will stop them. So to answer your question, that's the mindset it should be at quarterback going into this season.
60 seconds left here. I just got to ask, where having the format of home away, home away, home away, home away, away, home, how much of a challenge do you feel like that's going to be for the team? Before you arrived, Michigan was not winning away games against tough opponents. That kind of changed. Last year was a mixed bag with losses at Washington and Illinois, but a win at Ohio State. Mm-hmm. How difficult do you think that makes the schedule for these guys? And how difficult is it to go on the road, especially to places like Norman, Lincoln, Los Angeles? Does that become an added challenge, essentially?
I think for the boys in the facility, I don't know that they're too worried about it. They're kind of just blinders on, and I know they're going to travel to wherever they need to go, play however they need to play. But on the outside looking in, it is definitely more challenging to kind of be back and forth instead of just being home, 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 away, away. So it's definitely hard to kind of switch those mindsets, and just let you know now. One of the reasons the USC game is a key point on the schedule is because you're passing like 2 different time zones. And I might butcher this stat, but it was like teams that crossed 2 time zones last year were 2-15 or something like 3-15. It was some stat close to that. and teams really struggled when they flew across the country and had to play. So it's more difficult than people think, and the travel takes a little bit more of a toll than you'd hope. But I know those boys will be locked in. They'll be prepared for it. They're already making preparations now, so the boys are in the best shape possible in those games.
All right, well, that's my quarterback, Jack Tuttle. Again, I'm going to come up with a better nickname than that at some point. And I kind of feel like as I say that, it will be Ron Howard narrating saying, and he didn't find one. But still, look forward to having, I think, our last fall camp show next week before we transition into, I mean, it's still preseason, but like then we'll be in season, and that's going to be wonderful to actually be able to talk about games. But that's Jack Tuttle. I'm Isaiah Hole. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. We will talk to you again soon. Peace.